Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back with a new, well, for us, new casual GO. We got why Harambe's death was the right choice for the wrong reason. You remember Harambe?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember Harambe?
Mm-mm.
Ah, okay. Hey, man, so with the being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want to first support, all you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoy today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
Hey, with that being said, let's go ahead, hop into it. Let's check it out. Let's see what this one about. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
If you want to inflict emotional damage on a millennial, remind them that the Harambe kid either is or is about to be a teenager. In a couple of months, it'll be a year short of a decade since the gorilla was prematurely perp walked off the census. And despite being named after a Swahili term for coming together, Harambe's death has been no less divisive. But the closer you get to the full story, with crucial context, the question becomes less of whether the zoo was right for turning the legacy of Bob Marley into a hashtag, and more of everything that went wrong to force the zoo to pull the trigger. Because Harambe's death was the right choice for the wrong reasons. Now hear me out, I'm not blaming the gorilla, in fact quite the opposite. Literally everyone involved but the gorilla ultimately failed him, and in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna show you just how horrendous Harambe got done. The same 10 minutes it took for them to end him. Flashback to 2016. Eggs were $1.68, a light skin in Under Armours was no-scoping entire teams, and Kanye was still Kanye. When he made graduation, all was good until a 3-year-old canon event changed the course of mankind. On May 28, 2016, a mother took 4 children to the Cincinnati Zoo and got to the gorilla world habitat when the youngest boy said he wanted to go swimming with the gorillas. She went back and forth with him and then turned around to start putting kids in strollers when she heard a splash, followed by immediate screaming. Like any other human, she went to the railing, and that's when her mind took an indelible screenshot when she realized,
Cincinnati 911.
Hi, my son fell in the zoo exhibit at the gorilla. There's a male gorilla standing over him. I need someone to contact the zoo, please. He's dragging my son. I can't watch this.
In an unfortunate case of free will, the 3-year-old climbed the 3-foot fence, army crawled through 4 feet of bush, and before anyone could grab him and save the timeline, he fell 15 feet straight into the gorilla mode, where he was confronted.
But also, I'm finna say this.
And save the timeline, he fell.
We gotta also, with the mama. The child was 3, right? Now the boy had to climb up 3 feet. He ain't 3 feet tall. Had to climb up 3 feet, fall over. You would have heard him in the bushes, branch. You telling me you ain't paying attention to your child that long? And he had to crawl or walk his little ass over here and then fall.
Yeah, I get it. I don't have kids. I've been around a lot of kids in my lifetime. I had nieces and nephews. They are fast. But I definitely get what you saying. Cause I don't know how many other kids she had with her. Cause he said she turned her back.
But I'm gonna make sure
make
sure you got.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
15 feet straight into the gorilla mode, where he was confronted by 450 pounds of adult primate. Harambe didn't seem especially aggressive, but watching him ragdoll the toddler likely took years off his mother's life. No one could say what was going through the gorilla's mind at the time, but we know what went last, because at about 4:10 p.m., about 10 minutes after the boy fell in, a member of the Cincinnati Zoo Dangerous Animal Response Team life-retired Harambe with a bullet to the head. And life as we knew it was never the same.
Y'all can just put do a
the little slick what?
Yeah, like put them to sleep, because that's what y'all do when y'all need to. Sometimes I say some.
Yeah.
Like shoot them with the little things to like knock them out, put them on sleep. Y'all can have shot them with, you know what I'm saying, put them to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what y'all normally do when y'all have to take them to like the doctor, get them surgery, like get them worked on and stuff. Like, why we couldn't do it in this situation? It just resulted to killing.
The slain simian was mourned by
That's
millions
sad,
and
though.
memed by even more, to the point where there are people who use their right to vote on the corpse of a Kennedy gorilla, and that is the most political statement that will ever come out of this channel. But before we can judge what had to be an impossible decision, it's only fair to look at every angle, starting with the nature of gorillas. Gorillas aren't the menaces to society and skyscrapers we thought they were. Male gorillas are way more child-friendly than the average orang and chimpanzee. It's been said that the males that babysit more are considered more attractive to a tribe of hairy women. That's how they got their name. And being good with kids is more of a turn-on than size, strength, or status. It's proven that guy gorillas on daycare duty will have 5 times as many children as those that avoid it, which is probably why they fight so hard for custody. You've never seen a gorilla hit the burners like that. But gorillas don't need mori, they'll even step up for children that aren't theirs. A couple years back, the alpha gorilla of a group in Rwanda got sick, and since in sickness and in health is a human construct, the 4 gorillas of the group left, abandoning not just their baby daddy, but their progeny as well. With the infants barely old enough to feed themselves, it should have been curtains. But this story had a plot twist. The sick male had a brother, Kubaha, and Unc stepped up and looked after them. They'd sleep in his nest, treat him like a literal jungle gym, and he single-handedly kept the next generation up. And Kubaha wasn't an anomaly. In 53 years of gorilla research, it's proven that orphan mountain gorillas that lose their mothers early on don't have a greater risk of becoming a statistic because the males will often step in. Not only did a different study show the exact opposite happens to baby chimps, monkeys, and baboons that get the Bambi treatment, even if they do survive, they inherit 0 social rank and virtually no chance at having children. It's the same story for animals like elephants, orcas, and hyenas. Being motherless is social cyanide, but not gorillas. Having one mom short of a full house, oof, has 0 effect on their social status, and it's believed that since mama gorillas often dip out before their babies mature, the males have evolved to cushion the blow. Plus, with chimpanzees murking monkeys, bush babies, that's a bush baby, and even doikers for food, and even the good vibes tree hippie known to turn lorises into lunch meat, gorillas pretty much being knuckle-walking lawnmowers probably doesn't hurt Harambe's case. Gorillas go out of their way to avoid conflict, and you really won't see them beating on something weaker than they are, unless they did something to deserve it. But there's always a but. The rules of nature often change when you're talking about captivity. A wild orca has apparently never depulsed a person, but those confined to a glorified fishbowl have a body count. Pandas normally mate, date, and procreate no less than the average black bear, but those in captivity often get less play than Helen Keller's Spotify. In captivity, mother gorillas will often reject their own babies, and it happens a lot more than you would think, so maybe the parental instinct doesn't apply as much to a gorilla behind the glass. Yeah, no, because if I had a nickel for every time someone's son ended up in a gorilla enclosure, I'd already have 2 nickels by the time player number 3 decided to keep the tradition alive and airdrop himself to the gorilla grotto. On August 16th, 1996, another 3-year-old fell nearly 24 feet into the Brookfield Zoo gorilla exhibit. In a scene you've definitely seen before, 8-year-old Binti Dwa climbed down to the boy, cradled him in her gorilla arms for nearly 60 feet, and gently placed him at the employee entrance where officials could get him. But what you might not know was that Binti was one of those gorillas rejected by her mother and was hand-raised by humans. Part of this raising meant her caretakers had to train her to be a mother once she became pregnant with the same baby riding shotgun while she rescued the boy. Part of this training included handing off her baby to staff for checkups, so there was low-key an argument as to whether this was an actual gorilla guardian angel or just an animal doing what it had been trained. Well, almost a decade earlier in 1986, 5-year-old Levin Merritt followed the same script, falling into the gorilla pit and knocking himself all the way out. And 25-year-old Yumbo stood protectively over the boy, gatekeeping any other gorilla from him, and when the child regained consciousness and cried out, instead of matching his energy, the silverback calmly led his family to a small hut on the other side of the enclosure. But unlike Binti, Yumbo wasn't human-raised or trained in childcare. This was actual gorilla free will that looked after the injured kid. So now you might be confused, because if you were on the fence on the Harambe happening, hearing about their social psychology and the gorilla history lesson would have surely kicked you onto the Harambe side. Well, every gorilla is different, so let's talk about the story of Harambe. Before he became a hashtag. Harambe was born in the Gladys Porter Zoo in Brownsville, Texas, May 27th, 1999, meaning he had just turned 17 when he got sniped. Just like Binti, he was also rejected by his mother Kayla when he was only 3 weeks old. So, zoo director Jerry Stone hand-raised Harambe, taking him home. The tiny gorilla was by all means his family. Jerry was actually the one to help Harambe's grandparents settle in after they arrived from Africa, and he was even there at Harambe's birth, cutting the umbilical cord. He changed diapers, got up at midnight to feed him. Nobody had put in more Harambe hours than Jerry. Jerry described him as a lovable troublemaker. He'd do things like throw water at female keepers and run away. He'd steal blankets just to give keepers an excuse to chase him. He'd even climb walls to get his keepers' attention just so he could fall backwards and make them catch him. By every account, Harambe meant well, but there was a point where Jerry stopped getting in the cage with him. Not because he was aggressive, but as he got bigger and stronger, there was a legitimate chance he could accidentally roughhouse Stone into eternal submission. But Jerry also noted that Harambe always looked after his siblings, fully embracing the big brother role. But on January 6th, 2002, before Harambe was even 3, someone left chlorine cleaning tablets way too close to a space heater, causing a leak of toxic chlorine gas that suffocated the gorillas. Zookeepers immediately called EMTs, and by administering oxygen, they were able to revive 8 of the gorillas. But there were 3 that never woke up: Harambe's mother, brother, and sister. Yeah, Harambe got hoed by humanity long before Cincinnati.
That's crazy. That's sad, bro.
Yeah, that is sad.
How the fuck they even? Well, things happen, but that's fucked up, bro.
So the trauma of losing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Their brother and sister. Yeah, Harambe got hoed by humanity long before Cincinnati. Speaking of which, almost 10 years later in 2014, Harambe was now 15 and time came for him to be relocated to hopefully start his own troupe. Jerry actually pushed for Harambe to be sent to Cincinnati, that way he could contribute to their breeding program. And in September, the gorilla named after a Bob Marley song was transferred to the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. And less than 2 years later, he would exist only as a statue. So there, now you have more background information than 90% of anyone who's given their opinion. Everything so far points against Harambe being a threat to the toddler, yet experts like Jane Goodall, Jack Hanna, and primatologist Franz de Waal all seem to agree the zoo made the right choice. And I'm with them. Harambe had to die. But why? Basically, it was the best of a bad situation. A lot of people say tranquilizers, but tranks don't work the same way they do on TV. It can take 10 minutes to take effect, even longer when the animals turned up. There was a...
Okay,
because when I said it, when I was like, they couldn't just like shoot him, that was like, well, that is on movies and they shoot it and take them right at, you know what I'm saying?
True.
I've never seen it happen in like real, like...
I figured it was gonna take it because it still has to get in the bloodstream.
Yeah.
So that's still like, say for instance, we go to like the
10 minutes
dentist
or
we go to the dentist or something, and they put us on gas and stuff and try to knock us out. It doesn't happen like that. It takes a minute for it to kick in. Like if you ever had your wisdom teeth pulled, you know it takes a minute for that bit to kick in. You seeing that, looking at them, talking about what y'all talk about, because I could always go back in my mind when I got put on that anesthesia. But it's kind of similar though. So. I still want to know the killing part. Was that the only choice? Was that the only 100% option?
They do on TV. It can take 10 minutes to take effect, even longer when the animals turned up. There was a story of 2 polar bears wandering too close to town in Churchill, Manitoba, and the first bear was slept and put in polar bear jail. Yes. But the second bear had no reaction to the same trank. If anything, it probably made him mad. But the real reason tranquilizing wasn't an option. This is Cha-Cha the chimp. Cha-Cha went full Caesar and escaped the Yagiyama Zoo in Japan. And I want you to see what happened the moment he got darted. That man was a second away from becoming an Instagram reel. Animals don't understand the concept of anesthesia, but they do understand getting shot in the back. And in those 10 minutes to take effect, Harambe could have been the most dangerous gorilla outside of Hollywood. The next option would have been trying to have a keeper rescue the kid while distracting Harambe. But here's the thing. The moment the kid fell in, zoo officials signaled for all the gorillas to come inside. The 2 females complied, but Harambe, he was also using free will. Clearly he wasn't in the mood to cooperate. The last argument is that Harambe wasn't hurting the kid. In fact, it looks like he was protecting him. I actually agree. I think the father instinct was doing a lot of heavy lifting, but here's the thing. Harambe was a 450-pound immature teenager who never had a kid or was trained.
True. Harambe, but I wonder,
he was
like,
15.
Was he 15 or 17?
The other one was 17. I think he was 15. If I'm not mistaken.
The thing, Harambe was a 450-pound immature teenager who never had a kid.
I can't remember. It was my bad. But and then I think about it like this. You know how we like age dogs? The gorilla aged like that too. Like and was he still a teenager in gorilla years? Like I don't know their lifespan.
Yeah.
And so Come on, casual. We need that information. Let's see. Oh shit. Yo. Sometimes over 50 years. But it's an average between 35 to 40 years. But they often live longer in captivity, sometimes for over 50 years. That's actually a long time. They said, when's the oldest one? 60? 60? Oh, that's a long time. So, yeah. But quit acting like y'all ain't never, we ain't seen fathers having to, men having to step up, well, boys having to step up and be fathers at the age 15, 16, 17. I'll just play it. Don't take me serious on that one.
But here's the thing. Harambe was a 450-pound immature teenager who never had a kid or was trained for it. He could have killed that kid completely by accident. This isn't 25-year-old Yambo. Young gorillas play rough, and one hard pull could rip his arm out of the socket, and too hard of a drag could bash the 3-year-old's head against a rock. Also, Harambe was clearly stressed out. The situation was a time bomb. The little boy freaking out and screaming, suddenly running away, or even just looking Harambe in the eye could have been enough to light the fuse. And speaking of time, don't forget, that kid was in gorilla custody for 10 minutes. Might not seem like much to you, but let it be your bloodline. 10 minutes will feel like and cost you 10 years. Now, what they should have done, in my non-professional online opinion, was get anyone who wasn't a keeper, paramedic, or zoo vet, get him out of there, form a perimeter, something. I feel like all this could have been avoided if you didn't have a whole coliseum yelling at my mans. Silent game would have been golden, but at that point, it was too late for all that, and so the last option meant erasing an endangered species and future father. I don't like it, you don't like it, nobody's happy, but let's be real. Think about what the conversation would be if that kid became a chalk outline right there. Well, I can tell you, because it's happened. November 4th, 2012, Pittsburgh Zoo. Mother lifts her 2-year-old over the railing for a better view. Mother ignores several warnings and signs. Mother somehow lets child slip, and Maddox Durkosh fell, bounced off a safety net meant only for phones and cameras, and touches earth inside the enclosure. Problem was, the toddler landed with the African wild dogs. The most efficient pack hunters in Africa, the ones infamous for turning body to buffet before it can pass away. Look, I can spare you the details, just know it was quick, it was gruesome, and there was nothing anyone could do. The Durkoshes would file a wrongful death lawsuit against the zoo, seeking $300,000 because you can't put a price on life, but you can pay a lawyer to try. The family and the zoo would reach a confidential settlement. The endangered dogs were all relocated, except for the one shot by cops, and
What you about to say? How the hell you gonna sue the zoo when it was your...
You rest in peace to that child, because that is, I can only imagine.
I can't even imagine.
Like, bro, because the type of animals it is, you know what I'm saying? But there were, okay.
They put up the measures. The mom said, "Fuck it."
Ignore every warning sign. Like,
I guess the only thing they could have had a stronger net that could have, you know what I'm saying, brace if a human falls. Because you never know, obviously. So I guess that's the only thing. Someone
like, oh, I want to climb the fence.
And then they fall and something looks stronger.
It was never meant for, I get what you're saying.
But you always prepare for the things that
all the But a lot of times things have to happen for other things to be put into place.
Which is true, but you always prepare for the
But that's why we got so many things we have now. So many different rules and laws because things have happened. Yeah. People didn't think about certain things.
Because that's human nature. We learn from mistakes. So
that's sad. That poor baby. That poor child.
Well, that's also on the mama, though. What the fuck is you doing?
The entire exhibit was repurposed for another endangered African predator, the cheetah. You know, for the longest, I thought the zoo got screwed, but what I never knew was that in May of the same year, some of the same wild dogs dug out of their den and got the entire zoo put on lockdown. And as early as 2007, a member of the zoo safety committee explicitly warned of guests dangling children over the exhibit opening and advised them to install plexiglass to cover it. But no changes were made until a kid got eviscerated 5 years later. Now, don't think I'm letting the mom off. I got a lot of thoughts. And they're all explicit. But the zoo was liable and negligent, and it cost them and the dogs. Even though...
Yeah, on that, most definitely when y'all already been warned, and y'all ignored, and just like, we're going to continue to do us, the zoo is liable. But also, I would never dangle my child. Like, if you... I just can't take that chance. I just can't. And that was... I could lose my foot, like anything.
Like we were saying earlier, previously, things happen for us to
Yeah.
learn. So something happened. Y'all was on lockdown. They said, "Hey, we should put in these measures to prevent it." Y'all, because also I ain't gonna hold you. Zoos is what we have zoos in almost every state.
Yeah.
But it's so underfunded.
Yeah.
And so underfunded. So they really are not equipped with the proper finance sometimes to be able to put up those safety measures.
Yeah.
And for them to get the financial benefits, we increase the price of going to zoos. Then people complain about that. Mm-hmm. But then when they say, "Hey, we need extra funding," y'all say, "Oh, we know, like it's a lot of money goes to keep a zoo operational." Because I ain't gonna hold you. I never met a zookeeper until I met one in my old job, and he was just telling me, I was like, "Damn, I never met actually." Like, how many of y'all have literally met somebody that actually works at a zoo? That's not something you just really run into.
Yeah.
Like, you run into doctors, you run into lawyers, you run into people in plethora of
Other
careers.
professions, yeah.
Yeah, but you hardly ever run into somebody who actively is working at a zoo.
Right.
Common sense would have saved the day, but common sense would have been a godsend on Christmas Day 2007, San Francisco Zoo. Look, we've all heard the story of Tatiana the venge-lusting tiger, so here's what we know. 3 guys, 17-year-old Carlos Sousa Jr. and the 19 and 23-year-old Dhaliwal brothers taunted a Siberian tiger. Pine cones and sticks were likely thrown at the tiger. The brothers' father admitted that the boys were drunk. Tatiana escaped, murked Sousa, and mauled the brothers until she was eventually shot by cops. And the Dhaliwal family settled a suit against the zoo for $900,000, and the Sousa family settled a wrongful death suit for an undisclosed amount. And both brothers would use their second chance at life to get into several run-ins with the law, one including a drunken fight with police, and the younger brother would pass away in 2012 due to unknown causes. By every metric, they fucked around and found out, and the 2 that lived came up almost $1 million off it. But 2 things can be true. The zoo screwed up bad because days after the attack, they said the moat Tatiana had escaped from was at least 20 feet tall. Turns out it was 12 and a half, a full 4 feet lower than federal safety standards. And if you know tigers, that is one fuck of an oopsie. But also, after killing Sousa, Tatiana tracked the brothers down, but because cafe employees refused to let the 2 in, the Siberian Fury pulled up outside the cafe and mauled them again. It took 6 full minutes for zoo employees to realize that the brothers weren't drunk idiots screaming. They were drunk idiots screaming, but not lying about a tiger John Wicking them. And because the zoo was under a Code 1 lockdown, it took another 5 minutes for zoo security to let police and fire units in. Those extra 10 minutes mean a lot when you're actively getting turned out by a tiger, and it probably would have saved Sousa's life. 2 things can be true. Tweedledee, Dim, and Dumbass pissed off an apex predator and earned themselves a nomination for a Darwin Award while getting an endangered species past tense in the process. But the zoo was also painfully negligent in every aspect, especially since just a year before, keeper Lori Cummigan was mauled by the same tiger while feeding her through the enclosure's grill, and Tatiana's temper tore the skin off her arm, resulting in several surgeries, skin grafts, and California OSHA fining the zoo for safety violations. Lori would also sue and would also settle for an undisclosed amount. And after Tatiana's final act, the zoo would raise the barrier from 12 and a half to 19 feet. So you see, the zoo and
Still, you still, because the regulations what?
Look.
No, what's the regulation?
I guess 20, right?
Still ain't in regulation. What the fuck are we doing?
Or what's the regulation 20? But
yeah, he said
they
20.
just had lied and said it was already 20, but it really
was 12.
But
then they ain't raising number 19 yet, so y'all still under regulation.
And what's so hard about putting at this point?
Well, it might be actually hard. Because even if you raise the barrier, now the visibility of the humans is gone. The best way to get it under regulation is to dig. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but safety first.
But also, the exhibit should have been built properly before the zoo even opened.
Yeah.
So,
the zoo would raise the barrier from 12 and a half to 19.
So now, if you add another one, you're gonna have more parents doing this. Look.
I guess
safety still.
Yeah.
Just I don't know no fixing to it. Dig. That's the only thing I say. Would you dig? It probably costs more to dig than just to build a barrier.
Yeah.
feet. So you see, the zoo and Harambe were screwed the moment someone spawned into his enclosure. And really, Harambe was dead the moment he chose free will. In fact, if that child would have died, Harambe certainly would have been past tensed, all the gorillas might have been packed out, and the zoo would have been sued beyond oblivion. The zoo would modify Gorilla World by raising the outer barrier and loading up on netting and fencing, but the real victims here were Harambe, the child, and gorillas as a whole. And as much as I want to dump on the mom, well, the internet's kind of done that already, but kids are walking kamikazes. Not excusing it, because damn it, watch your crotch and the things that come out, but you don't think a kid will, till they do. And mama, I love you, I really do, but when I was about knee high, my mom turned away for a second at the park, and when she turned back, she saw me on the other side of a pond leaning in. And if both my parents didn't go Usain Bolt and catch me before I fell in, well, we know how that story ends. I also almost got kidnapped. And I only say that now because my mother never lets me forget it. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Drink water, hug your mother, hold your kids. They're stupid. Rest in primate Harambe, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Dang.
Weeks I have been waiting for this day, and it has finally arrived. We have the winner of our contest. It's the Naming the Baby with the Gladys Porter Zoo, and it's the baby gorilla. And we've got the baby gorilla right there.
Look at that.
That's the child you just named.
But yeah, I'm definitely not excusing, like, in this case with, like, the mom. Because you do need to, like, at all times, especially in a busy area, like, there's a lot going on. I get it. But you definitely need to keep an eye on your kids. But kids are, like, kids. They fast. They get into stuff. You be wondering how their little legs moving that quick. They, like, I don't know.
Which is true.
But, yeah.
Damn, man.
That's crazy.
R.I.P. to Harambe, man.
I'm glad the child wasn't, like, he didn't, like, mention, like, any other than, I guess, the trauma, because that's traumatizing.
Does the kid even have remembrance of it?
I don't know.
It's a chance of not, but it's also a chance of yes. It's a chance of both.
Yeah.
It's a chance of both.
But yeah, I don't know.
But hey, y'all spam us up. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below.
Do.
But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Tatiana.
We are.
We are.
Go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money low, get my team strong. Let me run away